After 20 hours in the delivery room, my hands still trembling from holding my newborn son, I thought the hardest part of the day was over. It wasn't. Kayla lay in the hospital bed, her hair matted with sweat, but her eyes were sharp. Too sharp. Like she'd been waiting for this moment with a smirk hidden behind labor pains. The nurse handed her the birth certificate. I was exhausted, tears in my eyes, ready to sign my name next to my son's. But Kayla snatched the form before I could reach it. She looked at me and said flatly, "Our baby will have my mother's last name, not yours." I blinked. "What? You heard me," she sneered, like I was some idiot asking for permission in my own life. "It's not up for debate." I looked around the room, my heart pounding. The nurse, standing nearby, froze for a second. Then, like she couldn't help herself, she leaned in and whispered, "Want me to tell her the truth?" That's when my spine turned to ice. "What truth?" I asked. Kayla's face twisted into something ugly. "Don't you ****ing start." But the nurse, bless her damn soul, stepped forward anyway. "Because of hospital protocol, we did a DNA pre-screen. For a rare condition your son showed markers for. That's how we found out." "Found out what?" I asked again, but I already felt it coming. My chest tightened like a bear trap. The nurse hesitated. "Mr. Bennett, you're not the biological father." The room exploded in silence. Kayla's face dropped for half a second, just a flicker of panic. Then her mouth twisted again. "Well, you were never enough of a man to be a real father anyway." That was the moment my world cracked. I took a step back. My legs didn't feel real. I looked down at the tiny, sleeping baby wrapped in blue and white. My son. No, not my son. Not mine. Kayla turned her head away like she was bored, already done with me. "Who's the father?" I managed to ask, my voice hoarse. She didn't answer. "Kayla who?" I was shouting now, tears burning my eyes. She rolled her eyes. "Relax, Jack. It's no one you know. Just a guy who actually satisfies a woman. Unlike you." That was the first time in my life I felt like putting my fist through a wall. But I couldn't. I just stared at her. That woman I married 3 years ago. The one who held my hand through job loss. Who made me believe we were building something real. Turns out she was building a lie. "You really going to throw everything away like this?" I asked. She shrugged. "I already did. Months ago. You just didn't notice, like you don't notice anything." I stumbled out of that room like a ghost. Down the hall, past the nursery. The walls blurred around me. My hands shook. I sat down in the parking garage, in the front seat of our car, and I just screamed. Not because I lost a child, but because the woman I gave my whole heart to was a damn stranger. A liar. A manipulator. A cold-blooded monster wrapped in pretty skin and fake smiles. And this was just the beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Kayla's face, not the face I used to love, but the one that smirked at me as my world collapsed. Her words echoed over and over. "You don't get a say." I drove around aimlessly until sunrise, parked outside a diner, and watched the morning rush begin like the world hadn't just ended. It was insane how life just kept going. By noon, I was back at the hospital. I needed answers. Not closure, not peace, just the damn truth. I walked in, expecting to see Kayla asleep, maybe pretending to be tired from the chaos she caused. But no, she was awake, hair done, phone in hand, smiling, smiling. "Look who came crawling back," she said without even looking up. "You going to tell me who the father is?" She laughed. "Why? So you can stalk him on Instagram and cry in the shower." "Kayla, I'm not in the mood." "You're never in the mood," she cut me off. "That's half the reason I went looking for someone who was." I clenched my fists. I had to remind myself that this woman was holding a newborn. My emotions were a firestorm, but I wouldn't be the one to start a scene here. Not in front of the baby, her baby. I asked again, this time quieter, colder. "Who is it?" She finally looked at me and said, "His name's Caleb. He's my boss." I froze. Caleb, her boss. The guy she swore was like a brother to her. I remembered the nights she came home late, claiming she had to prep slides for some urgent presentation. The times I offered to bring her dinner and she'd snap. "Don't come. It's not allowed." Every red flag I ignored came flooding back, each one slicing a little deeper. How long? She didn't blink. Almost a year. Almost. A year. That meant it started before the baby. Before everything. It wasn't a mistake. It wasn't a drunken one-night stand. It was a planned betrayal. Repeated. Hidden. With effort. You got pregnant on purpose, didn't you? I asked, my voice cracking. Kayla stared straight through me. No guilt. No hesitation. I wanted a baby. Caleb didn't. You were dumb enough to think it was yours. I couldn't breathe. My knees went weak. My hands gripped the hospital bed rail so hard I thought it'd snap. She leaned back, adjusting the blanket around the baby like she'd just finished cleaning her nails. Then she added, almost lazily, honestly, I thought about getting rid of it. But you seemed so excited, I figured I'd let you think it was yours. Watching you paint the nursery was adorable. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to demand how the hell she could be this cruel. But I didn't. I just walked out. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't look at the baby. I went home to the apartment we shared, or used to. The place felt different now. Every photo on the wall, every candle she picked out, the blanket she loved to steal off me on movie nights, it all felt rotten. Like mold growing in memories. I went to our bedroom, grabbed a duffel bag, and started packing. Shirts, jeans, my old hoodie. I hesitated at the drawer with our wedding photos. Part of me wanted to burn them. The other part didn't even have the strength to touch them. My phone buzzed. A message from Kayla. Don't forget to leave your keys. This is my place now. That was it. No apology. No remorse. Just her, making damn sure I knew where I stood. Or didn't. I left the keys on the counter. And I walked away from the life I thought I had. But I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. I crashed at my brother's place that night. Mason didn't ask questions right away. He just handed me a beer, nodded toward the couch, and turned on the game like that was enough. But after the second beer, I told him everything. From the nurse's whisper to Kayla's smirk. From Caleb to the baby. He didn't say a word for a full minute. Just stared at the floor like he was rewiring his brain. Then he finally said, "That's next level evil, man." Yeah, that about summed it up. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't eat. Couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything. The night she cried in my arms after her miscarriage scare, how I drove to 3 different pharmacies for her favorite tea, how I held her hand through every appointment like the happiest idiot alive. All of it fake. All of it AF ******, ING joked to her. On the 5th day, she called. I didn't want to pick up. I should have let it go to voicemail. But I did. Curiosity, weakness, habit, who knows? She didn't waste time. I need your health insurance to stay active for a while, she said. The baby's still covered under your plan. The baby that's not mine, I said coldly. Silence. Then, you're really gonna do this? You did this. You're being dramatic. That word, dramatic, snapped something in me. Kayla, you lied to me for a year. You let me plan a life around a baby that wasn't mine. You looked me in the eye, told me you loved me, all while letting some other man knock you up behind my back. She sighed, as if I was exhausting her. Look, I'm not gonna argue. You're hurt. I get it. But what's done is done. Is Caleb even going to be in the kid's life? That made her pause. He's married, she said finally. He doesn't know. You mean you haven't told him? I will when it's the right time. I laughed. A bitter, hollow sound. So I was your placeholder. Your insurance policy. Your emotional support dog. You're being cruel now. No, Kayla. You're just not used to hearing the truth. I hung up. That was the moment something shifted in me. The grief didn't disappear, but it transformed. It stopped being weakness and started becoming fuel. She wanted to play cold? Fine. I could play colder. I contacted a lawyer the next morning. Told him everything. DNA test, paternity fraud, hospital records, the works. He nodded like he'd seen worse, but his jaw tightened when I got to the part about the name on the birth certificate. She might have committed legal fraud, depending on how she filed it, he said. Good, I answered. I want to explore every option. I didn't want revenge, not really. I wanted closure. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of what she put me through. Not because it would fix anything, but because I couldn't let her win with that damn smirk still on her face. A week later, I got a text from Caleb. It said, "Hey, we've never met, but I think we need to talk. I found your number in Kayla's phone." My stomach dropped. I called him. Right away. He picked up on the first ring. "Jack." "Yeah. I just found out. I had no idea, man." "She told you about the baby?" He exhaled hard. "Only today. She said you flipped out at the hospital and made up a story." I didn't believe it. I checked the hospital file. She listed me as friend of the family. What the hell is wrong with her? "You really don't know?" "No," he said. "I thought we were just messing around." She said you two were separated. She said the baby was yours. I felt sick all over again. She lied to both of us. There was silence between us. Heavy. Then he said, I told my wife. And she kicked me out. Said if I ever go near Kayla again, she'll bury me. Smart woman. Yeah. We didn't talk much after that. I didn't need anything from him, and I think he knew it. But it was strange. Knowing the man who took everything from me was just another pawn in Kayla's little circus. A few nights later, I saw her name pop up on my phone again. This time, I didn't answer. I stared at the screen, watching her name flicker like a glitch I couldn't erase. My thumb hovered over the decline button longer than I care to admit. But eventually, I let the call die on its own. No response. No engagement. Let her wonder. Let the silence burn louder than words. A minute later, a text buzzed through. I think we should talk. For real. No yelling. I locked the phone and tossed it across the room. That night, I stood in my brother's garage, alone, holding a bottle of bourbon in one hand and a box in the other, the last of my things from the apartment. Mason had picked them up for me when Kayla graciously said I didn't need to show up. Inside, 2 sweaters, my gaming headset, a photo album, and a sealed envelope. The handwriting on the envelope was hers. I didn't want to open it, but I did. Inside was a short letter, scribbled like she wrote it in a rush. Jack, I know you hate me. I don't blame you. I lied because I was scared. You were stable. Caleb was exciting. I never meant to hurt you like this. But I also don't regret my son. He's my life. I hope one day you find peace. You were always a good man. K. No apology. Just excuses wrapped in half-truths. Like always. Scared? That's what she called it. Destroying someone's reality because she was bored? I should have torn the letter in half. But instead, I shoved it back into the box, sealed it shut, and slid it under the workbench. I'd deal with it later. Or never. 2 weeks went by. I didn't hear from her again. Not until a mutual friend, Alex, messaged me on Facebook with a screenshot. Kayla. Instagram. Smiling. Holding the baby. Caption. Starting fresh with my little miracle blue heart, hashtag, new beginnings, hashtag, no more drama. No mention of me. No mention of the truth. Just her, bathing in her own curated fiction. Already playing the role of single mother warrior, pretending the man she tricked into fatherhood never existed. That was the moment I snapped. I created a burner account and replied under the post. Miracle? You mean the baby you lied about for 9 months? The one you pinned on your husband while sleeping with your boss? That miracle. Within minutes, the comment vanished. She blocked the account, then texted me. That was low. You're better than that. I didn't reply, because she was wrong. I wasn't better than that anymore. She made sure of it. I focused on rebuilding what she tried to erase, me. I went back to the gym, got my appetite back, cut off mutual friends, blocked every number and contact that had her scent on it. But then came the unexpected. 3 months after the birth, I got a knock on my door. Mason wasn't home. I opened it expecting Amazon or maybe the landlord. It was Caleb. Hair messed up. Eyes bloodshot. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. What the hell are you doing here? I asked. She ruined my life too, he said. And I think we both deserve some justice. I didn't say anything. She told me she was going to file for child support against me, he continued. Even though she promised I'd never have to be involved. I laughed. Yeah, she said the same to me. Welcome to the club. He shifted uncomfortably. I know we're not friends, Jack, but she's out of control. And if she keeps doing this, she'll do it to someone else. We need to stop her. How? His eyes lit up with something I hadn't seen in a long time. Purpose. Rage. Strategy. I've got proof. Messages. Photos. Voice notes. Everything. I leaned against the doorframe. My mind was racing. Revenge had never been the plan. But maybe it didn't have to be revenge. Maybe it was just the truth, finally told loud enough for the world to hear. So I let him in. He stepped inside like a man carrying a bomb. One he wasn't sure he wanted to detonate, but knew damn well needed to go off. I cleared the table, pushed Mason's tools to the side, and handed Caleb a glass of water. He didn't touch it, just pulled out his phone and started scrolling. Look, he said, handing it to me. The first image was a selfie Kayla had sent him from our bedroom. The same sheets we bought together, her wearing a hoodie that used to be mine. She was smiling like a devil who got away with murder. Then the screenshots came. A series of messages dating back a year and a half. Some of them overlapped with when she and I were still going out on anniversary dinners, celebrating our love. One message made my throat close up. Don't worry, Caleb. Jack will think it's his. He's too naive to question anything. I wanted to break the phone. Not because it was Caleb's fault, but because reading her words, in her own damn tone, made it all real again. She sent me videos too, he said, pulling up a folder on Google Drive. I didn't want to look at them, not after I found out about you. But they're bad. I didn't ask to watch. I couldn't. I already felt like I was choking on oil. But I nodded. What do you want to do with this? He hesitated. If she's threatening to drag me into court and pin me as a deadbeat dad, I want a preemptive strike. I want the truth public. I want her lies documented. So if she ever pulls this again, there's a digital trail. Something I can use in court, or you can, or whoever else she screws over next. I sat back, thinking. This wasn't just about getting even anymore. It was about protecting ourselves from the tornado that was Kayla. What's the end game? I asked. We leaked the story, he said. Not names, not faces, but the truth. Online. Forums. Maybe a podcast. Hell, even Reddit. Something where her version gets destroyed before she can weaponize it. And you're okay airing this out? She ruined my marriage. My kid barely looks me in the eye anymore. Yeah, I'm okay with it. I nodded slowly. Then we go all in. The next few days were a blur of planning. Caleb compiled every screenshot, every time-stamped message, every fake excuse she gave both of us. I reached out to the nurse from the hospital. She remembered everything. She agreed to write a signed statement confirming the DNA result and Kayla's reaction. I felt like I was preparing a war file. Every document was another piece of the armor I should have had months ago. And it was strange, working with Caleb. The guy who helped destroy my marriage was now sitting beside me. Eyes sunken, looking more like a prisoner than a villain. I didn't forgive him, but I didn't hate him anymore either. We were both casualties of the same hurricane. Then came the night we posted. We uploaded everything anonymously, a full thread on a popular confession board. No names, no dates, just the raw story of betrayal, manipulation, fake paternity, emotional destruction, and the warning signs that both of us ignored. Within hours, it blew up. Thousands of comments. This is terrifying. That woman needs to be in jail. How can someone be so calculated? Bro, I'm sending this to every guy I know. I watched the screen in silence, heart pounding. Not from fear, from release. For the first time, she wasn't the one controlling the narrative. We were. The next morning, Kayla messaged me. No, hi. Just. Was that you? I didn't answer. She tried again. You're ruining my life. I finally replied. You did that yourself. Then I blocked her. Everywhere. No more texts. No more calls. No more warnings. Later that night, Caleb texted one final time. She's spiraling. Telling everyone it's all fake. I smiled at the screen. Let her scream. The world knows now. I didn't celebrate. There was no music playing, no bottle of champagne popping open. Just a quiet, steady calm. Like after a storm, when everything's flattened and soaked, but at least the sky has finally shut up. For the first time in months, I slept. Deep, uninterrupted, dreamless sleep. When I woke up, it was almost noon, sunlight bleeding through the curtains, and for a second, I forgot the chaos. Then I saw the folder of screenshots on my desk, and it all came back. But this time, it didn't crush me. It just reminded me I made it through. 2 days passed with silence. No texts. No calls. Then Mason walked in with a grin plastered on his face, holding up his phone. You've seen this, right? He tossed it onto the couch. I glanced at the screen. A viral TikTok with nearly 3 million views. The girl in the video was reading from a Reddit post, my post. My voice, her narration. She cheated on her husband with her boss, lied about the baby, and then told him, you don't get a say. But the nurse had a secret that changed everything. I leaned back, stunned. I didn't expect this, I said. Dude. Mason laughed. You're a F*********** ing urban legend now. The comments were wild. People analyzing every sentence like it was a murder case. Some were furious on my behalf. Others just amazed a human being could be that manipulative. But what hit me most were the DMs. Dozens of them. Guys from all over the country. Even other countries. Telling me they'd lived through the same thing. Fake paternity. Cheating during pregnancy. Emotional blackmail. Lies dressed as loyalty. One message stood out. A guy named Eric from Arizona wrote, Reading your story saved me. I was about to sign the birth certificate. Something felt off. I got a DNA test today. She cheated. Thank you, man. You might have saved my life. I just stared at that message for a long time. This wasn't just about Kayla anymore. It wasn't about Caleb. It was about every guy who ever got blindsided. Every man who was told he was overreacting while being stabbed in the chest. That night, I met with Caleb one last time. Neutral spot, coffee shop, public, simple. He looked better. Cleaner shave, eyes less haunted. I think we're done, I said. Yeah, he nodded. I think so too. He pulled out an envelope and slid it across the table. I didn't touch it. What's this? My half of the lawyer fees, he said. I know I was part of the wreck, man. But I respect what you did. What we did. I took it. Didn't say thanks. Didn't need to. Just nodded. As we stood to leave, he said, I'm gonna try and get custody. My eyes widened. Seriously? She's unstable, he said. I didn't see it before, but now? She's toxic. I want to give that kid a chance. Even if it's mine. I won't abandon him like she wanted me to. I respected that. Even if part of me hated him, I respected that. I walked away from the cafe lighter than I'd felt in a long time. The air didn't feel like it was pressing down on me anymore. My thoughts weren't racing. My chest didn't burn. It was over. The next week, I moved into a new apartment. Small place. Clean. White walls. Quiet. I bought a cheap couch and a decent mattress. No framed photos. Just space. And I started writing again, something I hadn't done in years. I put everything into words. Every betrayal, every emotion, every lesson. Not for pity, not for revenge. For truth. And maybe for healing. Kayla tried contacting me again. Burner numbers. Fake accounts. She even sent a card once. No return address, just a handwritten, I miss the way you used to look at me. I didn't open it. I tossed it into the fire pit behind Mason's place and watched the ink curl and vanish. She doesn't exist anymore. She's just a scar. A warning label. But I'm still here. Stronger. Smarter. Less trusting, maybe, but no longer blind. And if some guy out there reads my story, hesitates before ignoring the red flags, thinks twice before signing his name on something he didn't create, then it was all worth it. The lies she built burned down around her. And I walked out of the fire clean. Spring came fast that year. Strange how time moved quicker after everything fell apart. Maybe it was the lack of chaos. Or maybe when you finally stop chasing someone who's been running from you for years, your whole body just exhales. I was different. I felt it in the way I walked into a room. No longer trying to prove anything. No longer shrinking to make someone else feel taller. The version of me that let Kayla lie, that ignored the signs, that bent until he damn near broke. He didn't survive. I buried him. One afternoon, I ran into her sister, Amber. She didn't see me at first. I was picking up coffee at a little corner shop, and she walked in, talking loudly on the phone. I couldn't hear much, but I caught a sentence that made my blood simmer. I told Kayla she can't expect sympathy when she played with two men like dolls. She ended the call, turned, and saw me. Jack, she said, freezing mid-step. Wow. You look good. Didn't know you were back in town, I said flatly. Just for the weekend. Visiting Mom. She paused. She still thinks you were the best thing that ever happened to Kayla. I raised an eyebrow. Really? Amber nodded slowly. She hates what happened. We all do. I wish I'd seen the signs earlier. I could have warned you. I didn't say anything. Didn't need to. She knew. That's what silence does. It speaks louder than the bullsh asterisk T we usually throw at each other to fill the gaps. She's spiraling, Amber added. You probably guessed. She's burning bridges left and right. Got fired last month. Caleb's pressing for full custody. She's still fighting it. She's trying. But no lawyer wants to touch her case anymore. Word's out. That should have satisfied me. Maybe a year ago, it would have. But all I felt was tired. Like the war ended, and I just wanted to walk away from the battlefield. She reached out to me again last week. Amber said quietly, begging me to talk to you. Said she wants to meet, just to explain. I looked her dead in the eyes. There's nothing left to explain. She nodded. Didn't argue. Just said, good. You deserve better. It wasn't until she walked away that I realized I didn't feel anger anymore. Not pity, not even revenge. Just emptiness where the pain used to be. The kind of emptiness that comes after healing, not after harm. The clean kind. I left the coffee shop and walked a few extra blocks. Just breathing. Just existing. And for the first time in so long, that was enough. Later that night, I logged into Reddit. Not to post, just to check in. The thread was still there, still climbing, still helping strangers. A new comment had just come in. This post made me rethink my entire relationship. I got a paternity test last week. It came back negative. You saved me, man. I stared at it for a while, then closed the tab. There was nothing more I needed from that story. A month later, I started dating again. Slowly, carefully. No big promises. No fairy tale bullshit *T. Just coffee and conversations. A woman named Rachel. Smart. Straightforward. Didn't flinch when I told her the truth about my past. Didn't pity me, didn't glorify me either. Just listened. And when I told her I still had days where I didn't know how to trust someone, she smiled and said, "Then let's just not rush." That was all I needed. One night, we sat on my balcony, wrapped in a blanket, watching the city hum. She leaned her head on my shoulder and asked, "Do you ever miss her?" I didn't even have to think. No, I miss who I thought she was, but I don't miss her. She nodded, and we didn't talk after that. Just sat in the quiet. And for once, that silence didn't hurt. It healed. A few weeks after that night on the balcony, something happened I didn't expect. I got a letter in the mail, a real one, not some email or social message. No return address. Just my name, written in neat, familiar handwriting. I knew it was hers before I opened it. There was a slight perfume scent baked into the paper, like she hoped to stir something up with smell alone. Old tricks. Dead tools. I almost threw it away. Almost. But curiosity's a stubborn bastard. Inside was 2 pages of pure Kayla, dramatic turns of phrase, crocodile tears in ink, and just enough fake humility to make it look like an apology. But it wasn't. Not really. It was a last attempt at control, dressed in regret. "I'm sorry for what I did to you. You didn't deserve it. You were kind. Too kind. I messed up, and now I'm alone. Everyone's turned on me. Even Caleb. I thought I wanted excitement. I thought I needed something else. But what I really needed was someone who loved me the way you did. If I could undo it, I would. I miss our home. I miss your laugh. I miss how safe you made me feel." It went on like that. Memory after memory. Painting herself as lost, broken. A woman who made a mistake and now lives in the rubble of it. At the bottom, in sharp letters that broke the soft tone. "If you ever think there's a version of us that could still exist, please call. Just once. You don't even have to say a word. I'll know." I read it twice. Then I burned it. Not out of rage. Not out of pettiness. Just finality. Because she didn't miss me. She missed control. Missed being the center of someone's world. Missed having a man so in love he'd ignore the cracks while she poured gasoline behind his back. But that man was gone. I buried him with the ashes of that letter. Rachel found me on the porch that night, staring into the dying fire. She didn't ask. She just handed me a drink and sat beside me. After a few minutes, she quietly said, "Was it her?" "Yeah." "What did she want?" I looked at the glowing coals. "Another chance at the same game." "Did you write back?" "No." She nodded, said nothing else. And that, right there, that silence, said more than any letter ever could. The next morning, I opened my email and saw a message from a podcast producer. She'd found my Reddit post. Wanted to bring me on the show. To talk about male vulnerability, betrayal, and what healing actually looks like. I sat with it for a moment. Was I ready? I wasn't sure. But I knew one thing. I had a story worth telling. Not because I wanted attention. Not because I wanted to relive the pain. But because there are men out there, thousands, going through what I went through. Silent. Confused. Blamed. Dismissed. I wrote back. "I'll do it. But we talk about the real stuff. No fluff." She replied 10 minutes later. "That's exactly what we want." The recording happened 2 weeks later. I sat in a studio, mic in front of me, headphones tight over my ears, voice shaking on the first few sentences. But then something unlocked. The story flowed out like it was waiting to be told. Not just the betrayal, but the gut-punch confusion, the nights I couldn't sleep, the way it felt to doubt your own reality. By the end, I wasn't shaking anymore. The episode went live and exploded overnight. Men messaged me. Women too. Some shared their own stories. Others just said, "Thank you. I thought I was crazy. I thought I was alone." I wasn't alone. None of us were. Months passed. Seasons changed. I didn't measure life in rage anymore. I measured it in quiet mornings, deep talks, soft touches, and trust that wasn't given instantly, but earned slowly. Rachel and I didn't rush anything. We didn't have to. One day, She asked me what I wanted now, after everything. I thought about it, then said, peace. Not just around me. Inside me. She smiled. Then let's build that. And for once in my life, I believed it was possible. A year to the day after the nurse leaned in and whispered that one sentence. The sentence that shattered the illusion I'd built my life on. I stood in front of a small crowd at a men's mental health fundraiser. I wasn't there as a victim. I wasn't there as the guy who got cheated on. I was there as a survivor who decided not to stay broken. I told the story. Not with bitterness, not with vengeance. Just the truth. The raw, ugly, twisted, healing truth. And when I looked out at the faces in the crowd, I saw men nodding. I saw eyes welling up. I saw people who finally felt seen. Afterward, a young guy, couldn't have been older than 23, came up to me. Said he'd been engaged. Said his fiancée had just confessed to cheating while he was planning their wedding. Said he thought about doing something permanent the night he found out. But then he'd heard my podcast. And he didn't. He looked at me with shaking hands and said, "You saved my life, man." That's when I knew. Everything. The lies, the heartbreak, the nights spent curled up on a couch I didn't recognize anymore. It all led here. To something that mattered. Kayla was long gone now. She lost custody. Moved 2 states away. Tried to rebuild whatever mess she lived in, but it wasn't my business anymore. She was a cautionary tale I'd already outgrown. Caleb got custody after a long fight. He sent me a photo once. The kid, smiling, covered in paint, holding a paper that said Dad in crooked letters. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. That chapter had closed, and that was enough. Rachel and I, we were still slow, still steady. She never pushed, never rushed. Just held space for me when the weight crept back in. She didn't try to fix me. She just stayed. And in that quiet presence, I found parts of myself I forgot existed. One night, months later, we sat by the window, rain tapping against the glass, her legs draped over mine, a book in her hands. She looked up and asked, "Do you ever wish it didn't happen?" I thought about it. All of it. The betrayal. The lies. The heartbreak. "No," I said. "I just wish I knew then what I know now." She nodded. "What do you know now?" I smiled, not bitter, not broken, just honest. That love doesn't look like begging someone to stay. That peace is louder than passion. And that sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is the exact thing that sets you free. She didn't say anything. She just leaned in, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "You're free now." And she was right. I was.